In Hollywood, legends are known for their strength, their bravery, their unbreakable on-screen presence. But sometimes, the greatest battles are the ones no camera ever captures. For decades, Bruce Willis stood as the face of resilience, the man who survived explosions, terrorists, and impossible odds on screen. Yet today, the fight he faces is one no action hero can outrun. Nearly 4 years after the world learned about his diagnosis of frontotemporal dementia, a heartbreaking truth has now come to light. His wife, Emma Hemming Willis, has revealed something that has stunned fans across the globe. White right pointing backhand index. Bruce doesn't know he's sick. In a deeply emotional moment on Conversations with Cam, Emma shared a reality that feels almost impossible to comprehend. A reality where the man she loves, the father of her children, cannot recognize what's happening inside his own mind. There's this condition, she explained softly, called anosognosia, where the brain can't understand that something is wrong. It's not denial, it's not stubbornness, it's the illness itself. Bruce, now 70 years old, truly believes he is fine. To the outside world, this might sound like peace, but inside their home, it's something far more complex. Emma describes it as both a blessing and a curse. A blessing, because Bruce is spared the fear, the panic, the heartbreak of knowing what's coming. A curse, because everyone else must carry that weight for him. He never connected the dots, Emma revealed. And in a strange way, I'm glad he didn't. But behind that calm acceptance lies a storm of emotions no caregiver is ever prepared for. Because while Bruce lives unaware of his condition, his family has been living with it every single day since 2022. And for Emma, the moment the doctors spoke the truth, her world quietly collapsed. She was scared, she was confused, and most of all, she was alone. The day everything changed didn't feel dramatic. There was no collapse, no emergency sirens, no moment that screamed this is it. Instead, it came quietly, in a doctor's office, behind closed doors, wrapped in careful language and medical terms that felt too heavy to process. Frontotemporal dementia, 3 words that would permanently divide Emma Hemming Willis's life into 2 parts, before and after. She remembers sitting there, trying to listen, trying to understand. Doctors explained how this form of dementia attacks the frontal and temporal lobes of the brain, the very areas responsible for personality, behavior, awareness, and emotional control. But the words felt distant, unreal, because the man sitting beside her didn't look sick. He was still Bruce, still strong, still smiling. And then came the sentence that changed everything. He may never understand what's happening to him. That was the moment Emma felt the floor disappear beneath her. No warning, no preparation, just the sudden realization that the man she loved would never fully know why life was about to change. She later admitted that when she left that appointment, she didn't feel supported. Not because people didn't care, but because no one can truly prepare you for this kind of loss while the person is still alive. There's no funeral, no closure, no moment where grief feels acceptable. You're expected to be strong, to be calm, to keep going. At home, Bruce continued life as he always had. He joked, he laughed, he hugged his children, and that made it harder. Because how do you tell someone they're sick when their mind refuses to believe it? Emma tried. She encouraged checkups. She gently suggested help. She searched for signs that he understood. But every time, she met the same response, I'm fine. And that's when she learned about anosognosia, the cruel symptom that prevents the brain from recognizing its own illness. It wasn't denial, it wasn't stubbornness, it was the disease itself protecting him from the truth. And in a heartbreaking twist of fate, that protection meant Emma had to carry the truth alone. She watched as small changes became bigger ones. Moments of confusion, misplaced words, a different energy in conversations. Things most people would miss. But she didn't. Because when you love someone this deeply, you notice everything. At night, when the house went quiet, the weight finally hit her. The fear. The uncertainty. The overwhelming question. How do you care for someone who doesn't know they need care? She later admitted that those early days were the loneliest of her life. Not because Bruce wasn't there, but because the version of him she knew was slowly fading, piece by piece. And yet, she stayed strong. Because someone had to. Because their children needed stability. Because Bruce deserved dignity. And because love, in its purest form, doesn't walk away when things become unbearable. When illness enters a family, it doesn't arrive quietly. It reshapes everything. For Emma Hemming Willis, the diagnosis didn't just change her husband's life, it redefined her own identity. She was no longer only a wife. She became a protector. A translator. A shield between Bruce and a reality he could no longer understand. But she wasn't alone. As the weight of Bruce's condition became impossible to carry alone, something rare and powerful happened. The family came together. Bruce's daughters from his marriage to Demi Moore, Ruma, Scout, and Tallulah, stepped forward with unwavering support. There were no headlines. No public statements filled with drama. Just quiet unity behind closed doors. Because this wasn't about fame anymore. This was about family. Emma and Demi, two women once separated by Hollywood history, became connected by something far deeper: love for the same man, and the shared responsibility of protecting him. They coordinated care. Shared updates. Made decisions together. Not as ex-wives or current partners, but as guardians of Bruce's dignity. And while the world speculated, the family focused on one thing: keeping life as normal as possible for him. No overwhelming conversations. No emotional breakdowns in front of him. No reminders of what he was losing. Instead, laughter. Familiar routines. Faces he recognized. Because when someone lives with anosognosia, normalcy becomes comfort. But behind that calm exterior, the emotional toll was devastating. Emma later revealed how exhausting it was to stay strong every single day, to manage appointments, symptoms, and uncertainty while also being present for her children. There were nights she cried in silence. Moments she questioned how long she could keep going. Moments she felt invisible. Yet she never allowed Bruce to see that fear. Because to him, everything was fine. And in a heartbreaking way, that made the burden even heavier. To love someone who cannot understand their own decline means carrying grief alone. No shared conversations about the future. No mutual processing of loss. No preparation. Just quiet endurance. But Emma refused to let despair define their story. Instead, she chose compassion. She chose patience. She chose to meet Bruce where he was, not where he used to be. And in doing so, she showed the world a different kind of strength. Not the kind seen in action movies, but the kind that shows up every day, even when no one is watching. There is a kind of grief no one prepares you for. It doesn't come with funerals. It doesn't arrive all at once. And it doesn't let you say goodbye. It unfolds slowly, day by day, while the person you love is still breathing beside you. For Emma Hemming Willis, this became her reality. Caring for someone with frontotemporal dementia isn't just physical work. It's emotional erosion. Every day, she had to adjust her expectations. Lower them. Relearn how to communicate. Accept that the man she married was slowly changing, not by choice, but by illness. The hardest part: letting go of the idea that things would ever go back to normal. Bruce no longer processed conversations the same way. Moments of connection came and went. Sometimes he was present. Sometimes, distant. And yet, Emma never corrected him. She never argued. Because she learned something crucial. Correcting someone with dementia doesn't help them, it hurts them. So instead, she met him where he was. If he believed everything was fine, she let it be fine. If he repeated a story, She listened again. If he forgot a moment they shared, she carried it for both of them. That's the quiet sacrifice of caregiving. You grieve the past. You fear the future. And you live in the present, constantly adjusting. But what the world didn't see was the emotional toll. Emma admitted there were days she felt completely invisible. Caregivers often do. Everyone asks about the patient. Very few ask about the person holding everything together. She was raising children, managing a household, supporting Bruce, and trying not to lose herself in the process. Some days, the weight was unbearable. Yet she kept going, not because she was strong, but because love left her no choice. And then came the realization that changed everything. Bruce didn't need to understand what was happening. He needed to feel safe. So Emma stopped fighting the disease. Instead, she focused on creating peace. Moments of calm. Moments of familiarity. Moments of joy, however small. Because in the world of dementia, love isn't measured in memories. It's measured in presence. In holding a hand. In sitting quietly. In staying, even when the person you love can no longer fully stay with you.